I, with the name of Joe, and this is the show. Call it how I see it. And on today's episode, I got a couple of things I want to talk to y'all about. First and foremost, the NBA season has come to a conclusion. Carlo and Pratt in the house. We are here to talk about how the NBA Finals ended and what to think of the Boston Celtics moving forward. As much as I do not like the Celtics, I don't like the Celtics enough. I have to give homage and respect to the Celtics for winning it all. I gotta pay dues. Secondly, I'm here to talk more Stanley Cup Finals as that's about to wrap up, and as the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers duke it out in Game 5, what to expect in Game 5, and if the Florida Panthers can finally hoist their first Stanley Cup trophy in their franchise history. This is an action-packed episode that you do not want to miss out on. I guarantee it. Alright guys, we watched the NBA season finally come to a close, and as we all kind of thought anyway along the way that the Celtics were going to win the title. They won. No sweep though, G, no sweep.
Out there, man, I got a broom right here, I'm about to pull it out. I mean, why not? Because everybody's so up on Dallas, and I'm thinking, you know what? I hope Boston shows. I'd love to see them sweep them, man. I know everybody wants the gentleman's sweep. Oh, Dallas will get one at home. Nah, man.
No sweep though, G, no sweep. But we got the gentleman's sweep, as everybody involved, the experts wanted, they all, everybody, for the most part, knew that the Celtics were going to win this series. So here we are now, and I'm glad to have y'all on to talk about this. So G, first things first, I wanted to talk and say, what did you think about your boy Jason Tatum not getting the Finals MVP?
I see. What I was hoping for was them to get the brooms out and sweep them for Tatum to have a big game in Game 4. Take over there and get that MVP. But what happened was, first two games, Brown scored 22 and 21. Granted, points are one thing. There's other ways to affect the game. But us as fans, we're offensively driven. So we look at points. How much did he score? Especially in a game like basketball. How many did he score? So Brown had 22 and then 21. Tatum had 16 and 18. That right there put Tatum in a position of being behind Brown. And then you had Drew Holiday having a game in there. There was even some Porzingis talk. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't really want to give Tatum a shine from the door. So I was hoping he could have a big game in Game 4 and close it out, and then they'd have to give it to him. Even if he needed like a 50-burger last night in order for him to get it. Because otherwise, he was so far behind. Brown was consistent enough for him to get it. I ain't mad at it. It's all good. I'm just glad that Tatum's getting his shine. You believe there were people out there who thought they should break this tandem up? Are you insane? Are you crazy? You got two players in their prime? What? You got a front office that looks like they're competent. So if they just keep tinkering around the outside players, Dynasty is on the table. When you talk about separating these guys, people are insane. There were people out there saying that Ben Simmons had a higher ceiling than Tatum. You believe people had a ridiculous take like that? I just love to see Tatum getting his shine now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I watched him in college, huge fan, and I thought, I love his game. He does a little bit of everything. And he's only 26. I'm telling you, time is on his side right now. Him and Brown together, coached up. Look out. Look out.
I agree, G. I totally agree with you. I mean, it's hard to really dice up who really should have been the MVP here. From Brown to Tatum to Drew Holiday, like you were saying, even Derek White, getting his face planted into the ground and everything.
Tough guy.
I mean, I like this quote though. You lose all his teeth to get a championship. That was pretty cool. I gotta give him credit
Priceless,
for that.
Man. Priceless.
It is the price and sacrifices you pay to be on the court and win the gold. But I mean, I saw how the voting broke down. It was 7-4. Mostly, most of these experts, sided with Jaylen Brown. I think the light that doesn't get shine enough was probably him covering Luka and the defensive two-way aspect of Jaylen Brown, covering Luka and defensive wise causing problems for the Dallas Mavericks on offense. So I think that aspect got put into it. The field goal percentage got put into it. I think just metrics in terms of nitpicking stuff. I think that's what edged Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. But when it comes down to it, I mean, and this is what I wanted to ask you, JC. I wanted to ask you personally, who do you think, if you were to choose between the two, if you were a lottery team that had an opportunity to choose between these two players, not saying that we're going to break them up in the future or anything, but just in a situation like this, if you were to choose between the two, who would you take?
Well, that's after these finals, it's a more difficult question. I'll tell you that.
Right.
I'd probably still go with Tatum right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just think he's got a little more. He doesn't. It's going to be hard to say this because it didn't happen often, Jaylen Brown sometimes has a tendency to disappear a little bit,
Right.
and the disappearing act is a little. Tatum doesn't. It doesn't happen as often. I mean, Jaylen Brown showed in his whole playoffs the efficiency. It's a hard take to make right now, but I'm still taking Tatum as of right now.
No, I agree.
It's hard because Brown, it's like you were saying, the field goal percentage played a big part. I think in the voting.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown's defense was a little bit better. But if you're asking me as a lottery team right now, I'm still taking Jason Tatum right now.
Yeah, I agree.
The gap is closed.
It is, and even some people I don't know. I don't want to say people lost respect for Jason Tatum around the league, but I just that Jason Kidd comment was just really big, and I don't know. Some people, I don't know. They're expecting
that was just a mind game.
It is.
That's all good. That's sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Do that. See if you can drive a little chisel in between them. It's all good. It's all good. But you see what happened? Yeah. Hang that banner, Jason. That's what's up. Please, man. Come on.
At the end of the day, that's really what matters, and that's what you're saying. It would be stupid and ludicrous to even split these two apart. That's why they wrote it out.
Listen, I know these guys get to talking on the radio and talking on TV, but no one's really held accountable for anything. Granted, I called for the sweep. I was wrong. Wayne Glenn was wrong. I was wrong, but I wanted it. But a lot of these guys who talk on TV and on the radio, they're not really held accountable. They can say whatever they want to say. To me, they're just trying to invoke opinion anyway. They're trying to invoke a reaction, so they say different things. That's where it got lost with Tatum. I mean, man, everybody just want to be out there talking about Tatum wasn't tough enough, Tatum this, Tatum that. I'm like, man, are you guys watching? Are you watching him play? His effect on the game, his impact. His efficiency might not have been there, but his impact was huge. He was dishing. He was rebounding. Overall, he had a better statistical, what I would say, line that we look at. He had a better series than Brown, but I can understand them giving it to Brown. But, man, glad Tatum's getting his shine. That's what's up, Jason. What? Come on.
Yeah, man, he's taken full possession of the trophy.
Right?
He's been holding that on. It's been his child. But
they've been trying to diss him. It was driving me crazy, man. I couldn't believe it. You weren't appreciating him. He can play, and it's like they just wanted to. They were hating on him, and I didn't like it, man. I'm glad he got this, man. I'm really happy for him.
It's also difficult, though, because I think credit gets taken away from Tatum because of the well-built team that's around him.
Right, and that's the thing.
Look at that. Drew Holiday, I think, was an X factor. That trade, because they got him for nothing,
right?
Pretty much. Porzingis was effective all 15 minutes he played last night. It's cool.
Al Horford.
Peyton Pritchard.
You need the role players to know their role, right?
That's honestly who I'm the most happy for is Al Horford.
I'm with that.
18 years to get one.
And still an effective player.
Yes, he still plays his role to the best
he
can.
And you know who got himself paid? Peyton Pritchard got himself paid.
He's competent. He's absolutely.
But yo,
you need those role players on championship teams, man.
I agree 1,000%, and that's why the team is structured the way it is. I mean, it was built to win. Brad Stevens, turning into Theo Epstein over there. I don't know what happened, but
hey, man, he's sitting back. Listen. That's what I'm saying. We talk Dynasty. You got competent front office, and you got it on the court. Look out. Look out.
I agree. It's all together. That's the trickle-down effect, and then that's what makes a strong organization, and that's what that's what teams across every sport is looking for: a strong trickle-down effect.
No doubt.
So the loss to the Warriors 2 years ago also struck hard in them.
Yeah, for sure.
And prepared them for this moment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yes, they went through the fire. They were young, and now they, able to come and rise and hoist up the trophy the way they did. So it was a big note. Definitely a big note.
But wait, even Porzingis played. They were talking about on the radio. They were talking about odds of him playing. I'm glad to see him get a couple minutes, man, because I like Porzingis too. You know what I mean?
Porzingis' disrespect has to go away a little bit now.
Right?
He's a champion.
Regular season game, he ain't playing.
No.
Right. No doubt. He gave him what he could.
But he's filled in at the right time, and like you said, he gave them what they could, and even though he's made of glass now, with glue and everything intact and involved, he's still he's still a matchup problem for anybody, and
very effective player. He can impact the game, no question.
There's no one that can ever contest his shot, and when he gets especially for a team that statistically had the best offensive year of all time, it's a wrap, bro. It is. So moving forward, can we especially with their core, like we said, the two tandem being young and where they are, could we expect them to possibly have a dynasty in the making here?
We definitely put we can definitely say they're going to be in contention for the next 2 to 4 years. I want to say, solidly in it. You're going to have teams improving. You're going to have people moving around, and other GMs and other executives are working on trying to tinker with their rosters. So there'll be competition. But they're going to be in it. Absolutely, they're going to be in it. I can see at least 1 to 2 more. I mean, I don't know how many you need in a certain amount of time to consider a dynasty, but I definitely think they're going to be in it. Absolutely, right there. Barring any injury or any kind of crazy mishaps, they're going to be in it for the next 3, 4, 5 years, man. These guys are in their prime, and they're both signed. They're going to be. I mean, like I said, it's the guys upstairs. Keep putting people around them. It's there for it. It's there in the making, man.
I agree. I mean, they had the Jaylen Brown contract last year, and then they just re-signed. They were able to redo Drew Holiday's deal. I mean, Jason Tatum's expected to get another extension, and then they figure out some with Porzingis, that's friendly for their, and then get the role players like we're talking about. And especially with winning, we've all seen it happen. Like with winning, it attracts other talent to come. You know what I mean? People are willing to take less deals, or veterans that have been solid role players or whatever for other teams or later in their careers could definitely fit on a team like this and help this team go. Especially since they kind of have some young players on their bench with Hauser, Pritchard, and then like we were talking about last episode, they're gonna have to end up finding some front court help with Al Horford being his age and everything, even though he's coming back next year for an 18th year, which is crazy. But this team is on the up, and especially with an Eastern Conference that's just weaker, like. This team definitely has the chance to run the table for years and years to come. Because we all have seen them, they've been scratching, and then finally they were able to claw through. So, but my one matchup I'm interested to see, just because their 5 is so good, I want to see their 5 against the Nuggets. I do want to see, I want to see how they compare against the Nuggets. Not just saying that, because a lot of people are out there raving, oh, well, they had easy path and injuries and everything involved. I'm like, yeah, but that comes with basketball, like we talked about last week. It is part of the game, exactly, and. Timing and everything falls into place. So when everything else, minus all the excuses and all this dust settles, and they're still there, and whoever they play, that's what I really want to see, though. You know what I mean? Like I want to see them really match up, and I want to see greatness fight greatness. That's what I want.
But is Denver going to be there now? We got the OKC effect.
Yes.
We're going to have Minnesota. I mean, I hear you with Denver, but I wonder if they're going to link up. I think that West is tough. You know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely right, and we definitely saw most of that come into light this year, especially like you're saying, OKC. Even other teams that are popping up, like the Mavericks, the Timberwolves. These teams are not going to be going away anytime soon. They're going to be fighting each other for a long time, especially since most of these players and their superstar players are young. So it's definitely going to be something to watch out for. Go ahead.
It's going to be interesting though, because like you guys just said, the West is tough. Some key free agents might want to slide east.
Right, that's true too.
You know what I'm saying? I think the East will be a lot stronger next year with the free agency class. I hope the Sixers don't sign Paul George. But
I was just about to say somebody coming east. PG-13.
I'll take OG Anunoby. Send me OG Anunoby.
I mean, dude,
back up the Brink truck and go get me OG Anunoby.
I mean, the Sixers, moving forward with the Sixers, since we just threw this into this fire, I mean, having the second most cap room, this is the make or break season for Daryl Morey. So
I was just about to say it starts upstairs.
If not, I will lead the angry mob with the pitchforks to get Daryl Morey out of town. All right, because I just don't want to deal with this guy. Honestly,
I'll drive his Uber to the airport.
Well, I'm gonna do that for Tobias Harris already, so I'm volunteering.
I'll be right behind you. You can have Tobias. I'll take Maury.
Yes, there you go.
Get thrown in my car.
We'll take him on a one-trip flight to never come back to Philly.
But I think the East is definitely going to be stronger next year, because I do think the free agents are going to see what the Celtics ran into, whether it was injuries, whether it was luck of the draw, and they're going to say, "Hey, I think I can give myself a better chance if I go East." Not because Boston's weak, but because there might be less threats.
Yes.
Teams like Milwaukee, I'm not sure they can go anywhere anymore. Middleton is not that guy.
Nah, he's not.
And Lillard hasn't played D since 2017.
I mean, did you hear Doc Rivers on the podcast, on Bill Simmons' podcast, iterating like?
I was about to say Ben Simmons in the podcast. He's going to show up for that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Next year. But I'm saying Doc Rivers, not only not taking accountability like he always does, never taking accountability for things, just he's blaming more of his season collapsing with the Bucks due to Lillard not being healthy and him going through a divorce. And I'm just like, yo, bro, just man up and take accountability, bro. It's just you did this back in Philly. You want to blame the fans of Philadelphia for,
oh my goodness,
I was just like, yo, bro, it's who are you, bro? You act like you're some coaching god, and you're really not, bro. Freaking with your tattooed ass hair and shit.
You blame Lillard's divorce. We all go through problems every day, but we got to still put the hard hat on.
Exactly. It's just I don't want to hear that, dude. I really don't. But, I mean, overall, we can stick a fork into this 2024 season, and we have to pay homage to the Boston Celtics. As much as I hate the Celtics and I hate everything involved with their franchise, I have to pay homage, and they have the most titles now in NBA history. They are the glorified franchise once again.
So, as a sports fan, you gotta appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, you appreciate it greatly.
You do. You have to. You respect it and you pay it, and that's just what it is. But I appreciate y'all coming on,
Oh
especially
man,
on
anytime, man.
absolutely,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. So basketball is over, football's around the corner. We got some other things we're gonna be talking about. I'm definitely gonna still have you guys on the show, and we're gonna keep things going. All right.
Yeah.
All right, always down to call it how I say it.
Yes. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate y'all
All
coming
right,
on.
man. Be safe. Have a good night.
Y'all
guys.
too.
Have a good night, fellas.
Peace
Later.
out. Hey, how you doing? I'm back, and I'm here to talk some more hockey. Yes. So, where did I leave off? Oh, yes, that's right. The Panthers were 3-0, and then Saturday night happened. Saturday night happened where the Edmonton Oilers finally came out to play, and they beat the shit out of the Florida Panthers, beating them 8-1. Sergei Bobrovsky, who I thought could be the Stanley Cup Finals MVP, the way he's been just an absolute wall, was pulled after giving up 5 goals on 16 shots, which really was crazy because no one really saw that happening, as Edmonton's offense finally woke up and literally cracked and destroyed the Florida defensive wall that was put up on them the first 3 games of the series. So, with all that happening, I just, from an eye test, I saw Florida did put up 1 goal, but after that, it was just an onslaught of Edmonton just crashing the net and putting more shots and being persistent to the point where their offensive pressure just became overwhelming for the Panthers, where I think the Panthers kind of just gave up. I don't know if the Panthers were just overwhelmed. I don't know if the Panthers were just sick and tired of being in Edmonton, which I don't blame them. I mean, personally, I've never been to Edmonton, and nor am I really interested in going to travel to Edmonton to go check it out, as it is basically almost on the other side of the earth. Just kidding. But I did want to say a lot of things that I noticed that caught my attention. And one thing that does have my attention is how Florida is in terms of their resiliency after a loss. In this postseason, the Florida Panthers are 4-1 after a loss, as their only loss came to the New York Rangers. But as we can all tell, even with the series being 3-1 right now, with Edmonton finally getting a win, Edmonton is really feeling themselves. And as if you remember from what I said last week, Edmonton was to find some type of chink in Florida's armor, they would have to find it by moving more in the middle of the ice, I think, and taking advantage of Florida being so aggressive on defense. With Florida having forwards looking to forecheck, like I was saying, and their defensemen's pinched down on the wall, they can find open holes, but they need to move the puck more into the neutral zone from the defensive zone. I said something along the lines of them having to get into the neutral zone, or the O zone, as they like to call it, but getting past Florida's wall and actually creating opportunities to score, which they did, finally. I feel if Edmonton can get into Bobrovsky's line of vision again and can continue to have a strong net presence in front of Bobrovsky, I think they can probably get the puck past them again a couple more times and make it more competitive, given I don't think that 8 goals is going to happen again. And also given it seems like most of this postseason, not even just with this series in particular, but even in other series, it seems like every game that happens, it's almost like a reset. And every team is coming out new and fresh, and to the point where new things need to be drawn to the drawing board. So we are here with Game 5, and I just want to break down a couple things that I noticed and what I think could be keys for the Panthers and the Oilers for winning Game 5. For the Panthers, it's really simple. They just need to get back to their plan for what they had set up defensively in their first 3 games. If they can put that wall back up, even their defenseman Forsling said it in an interview, they need to close and tighten up the gaps and make it really hard for Edmonton, because Edmonton, like I said, was able to create their opportunities and get the puck on the net. And overall, if Florida needs to be more smart as well. They did get in penalty trouble last game, and there was a lot of disadvantages. Even with that, Edmonton really wasn't able to capitalize on the power play other than one instance, and I will iterate that in a couple more minutes. But if Florida is just smart and doesn't put themselves in bad positions and continues to not being shorthanded and a disadvantage. I mean, for any hockey team, that would be difficult to overcome anyway. But Florida has shown this postseason that they are good on the power play kill and everything involved. But Edmonton was finally able to finally put the puck in the net during a power play. Excuse me. Um, it's been almost non-existent for them this entire series, even though coming into the series they were very good on the power play. This series, however, other than the goal that was scored by Nugent Hopkins, they are 1 of 16 on the power play, which is atrocious and terrible and won't ever get you a chance to win the Stanley Cup. However, even as slow as, even though they have started off slow on the power play this series, it's also something that happened last series with them and against the Dallas Stars. Given they weren't down 3-1, but given in their pivotal games of their last series with the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals, the Edmonton Oilers were able to turn up their power play and score goals and take advantage of what was given to them, especially in games 5 and 6. As in those two games on panel when they had the Dallas Stars shorthanded, Edmonton was able to capitalize and get 4 out of 5 goals on their power plays. I don't think this will really happen in this series. I think it might be a little too late, but if they can win tonight and turn it 3-2, definitely would swing things in favor of them, especially since they would have to go and travel back up to Edmonton and spend that $2,500 miles from flying up to Florida all the way back up to Edmonton. But it should be interesting. And also another thing I want to bring to light is Connor McDavid. Yes, Connor McDavid in Game 4 scored and also posted up 3 assists, posting up 4 points, and that will actually bring him with 32 assists this entire postseason. He's been setting up things for other players, and right now he is currently 5th all-time in postseason points during his 2024 postseason run. I did notice in Game 4 Edmonton decided to have Draisaitl play on the second line and have McDavid continue to play the first line with other players playing with McDavid on the first line, which seemed to work out pretty well. Having Draisaitl play the second line center and having opportunities for other guys to score on that second line was huge as well. And it should be something to keep an eye on for the game tonight and see how things work out. Personally, I'm going to be honest with you, I just think the Florida Panthers are just going to close it out. I actually personally believe that this script is following very similar to the NBA Finals script. As 3-0, Game 4, team blows out the other team, and Game 5, home team wins on their own court. I believe it's going to follow suit. I don't know for sure. I don't. But I do believe that this series will end tonight, and I believe that the Florida Panthers are going to win their first Stanley Cup Finals. But to be determined. I could sound wrong. I could sound like I know what I'm talking about, but who knows? We will all witness and watch together. But if Florida was to win, I do believe their MVP will go to Alexander Barkov. He is leading the Florida Panthers in points and has 21 points, although he hasn't scored a goal in the last 7 games. But given everything he's done on the ice, even setting up plays for his teammates on that first line, especially Evan Rodriguez, it just speaks virtues of how he's grown. Especially like I iterated in the last episode, he had horrible finals and horrible postseason last season, where a player like Matthew Tkachuk was able to step up and shine and bring that team to where they needed to go. Matthew Tkachuk, also a player who's been a little cold of late. He hasn't scored a goal in 9 games, and he has 4 assists along that way, but still nothing in the net. So possibly, maybe he's even due tonight to score. So we will see. Back to Bobrovsky, though. My man was virtually like a wall, and shutting out the Oilers in Game 1 and giving up 5 goals the way he did last game can definitely hurt a goalie's confidence. But ultimately, knowing that you're still up 3-1 still gives you reassurance that you need to, put yourself in a position to really be where you need to be and finish this thing out, which they need to do, and which I believe they will tonight. So, back to Bob, though. His save percentage has gone down to .912, and for the entire postseason, it has gone down to .912, and for this series has gone down to .909, which dropped down a little significantly than it was before. But it's finally time. The Florida Panthers are going to win tonight. I'm not jinxing y'all. It's just going to happen that way. It's just the better team is going to win, and especially on the home court, home ice, whatever. It's going to happen, and it's due to happen. And I actually believe that Florida has slowly become the mecca of hockey in the last 5 years, between the Tampa Bay Lightning having their little dynasty, from the Florida Panthers being in the finals last year, and even possibly, most likely, winning it tonight and putting their stamp onto the NHL world. It's really interesting to see, especially with the Vegas Golden Knights winning last year. But I think Florida has really turned the hockey world upside down, and I don't know, somewhere in Canada, someone is just going to kick their chair and just think, how did things turn into this? But although things still need to play out, I have to give the Florida Panthers a lot of credit, and we'll see what happens.